I never thought my life would unravel like a dusty old Western tale, full of betrayal and hidden truths buried under the endless skies of Arizona. My name is Emily Hayes, and at 28, I've learned that family ties can strangle tighter than any noose. Growing up on the Hayes Ranch in the heart of the Sonoran Desert, near Tucson, our spread wasn't just land, it was an empire. My father, Jack Hayes, had turned our family's modest cattle operation into Hayes Agritech, a powerhouse in agricultural biotech. He engineered drought-resistant crops that fed half the Southwest. But his real genius was in the shadows, pesticides and fertilizers that promised miracles but delivered nightmares. The ranch house stood like a fortress against the red rock mesas, all adobe walls and massive wooden beams, where reputation was currency and secrets were locked away tighter than a bank vault. My mother, Laura, came from old mining money, the kind with ghost towns named after ancestors. She chaired local charity drives, collecting donations like wildflowers after a rare rain, each one polishing our family's image. But behind her warm smiles at community barbecues, she wielded influence like a whip, ensuring no scandal touched our name. My sister, Sarah, 3 years my senior, was the golden child, groomed to take the reins. She learned early how to charm investors over steak dinners at the local steakhouse, how to negotiate deals that crushed competitors while looking gracious. By 25, she was VP of Operations, her office overlooking the vast fields where our experimental crops grew. She kept a childhood photo of us on her desk, me in pigtails, her in a cowboy hat, at some county fair. But it was for show. Our last real talk ended with her calling me a dreamer for thinking companies should answer for the harm they caused. They called me the wild card, though in polite company. It was Emily follows her own path. What they meant was I was a risk. I chose environmental science over agribusiness, studying how chemicals leached into groundwater rather than how to patent the next superseed. It started small. Questions at family suppers about runoff from our fields poisoning nearby wells, about migrant workers falling ill after spraying sessions. Each query met with stony silence or sharp pivots. "We don't mix business with brisket," Mom would say, while Dad's knuckles whitened on his fork. Sarah would roll her eyes, already mastering the art of deflection. When I declared my master's in environmental toxicology at the University of Arizona, it was like I'd rustled their prize herd. The family summit in the ranch's great room felt like a showdown. They dangled carrots, a cushy job in R&D, early access to my trust fund, a board seat by 30, if I just toe the line. I refused, and Dad's temper flared like a brush fire. "You're either riding with us or against us," he growled. "No fence sitting, punto." I tried straddling that fence anyway, showing up for holiday rodeos and smiling for local news spots, while quietly sampling soil from communities near our test farms. Kids in those dusty towns were getting sick, rare cancers, birth defects, at rates that screamed foul play. I thought I could nudge change from within. But in the Hayes world, questioning wasn't rebellion, it was treason. The letter changed everything. It arrived via certified mail to my small Tucson apartment, the kind with peeling stucco and a view of saguaro cacti under relentless sun. From Caldwell and Partners, estate attorneys. Inside, heavy bond paper announced a trust from my late grandmother, Margaret Maggie Hayes, who'd passed when I was 12. She was a tough old bird, smelling of sage and pipe tobacco, always slipping me cash with a wink, "Get something that'll ruffle their feathers." The trust, $10 million. Accessible on my 29th birthday or after my master's, whichever hit first. Ironclad. Untouchable by family meddling. She wanted you free as a Mustang, the lawyer, Mr. Caldwell, explained over the phone. My thesis defense loomed in 3 weeks. Freedom was so close I could taste it, like rain after drought. But secrets don't stay buried in a small desert community. Mom called out of the blue for lunch at our favorite Mexican spot in town, something rare as a cool breeze. Honey, we've been too hard on your choices, she said over enchiladas. Her smile practiced. Let's celebrate your graduation right. A big family bash at the ranch. Instincts prickled like cactus spines. But I played cool. That's a switch. Family sticks together, she replied, her hand cold on mine. Sarah's got news too. We can toast both. Her eyes probed like a prospector's pick. They knew. Pressure mounted like a summer storm.
Dad,
silent for months, demanded weekly check-ins. Sarah popped by my place, eyeing my thrift store couch. You could crash at the ranch anytime, she'd say. Build up your nest egg. Then the paperwork push. Dad's assistant needed signatures for estate updates. When I insisted on my own lawyer, the chill set in. Since when do you lawyer up against kin? Dad barked at dinner, slicing his steak like an enemy. Meanwhile, my research hit pay dirt. Samples from border towns near our field showed toxins at illegal levels, falsified EPA reports, bought-off inspectors. Families suffered, wells tainted, lives shattered. My advisor, Dr. Ramirez, warned, this is dynamite. Emily, core like yours bury folks for less. I figure my name shielded me. Wrong again. The week before defense, my truck got jimmied. Laptop gone but backup safe on encrypted drives. My apartment ransacked. Nothing stolen. Just rifled through. Message received. We're close. And we can touch you. Mom's final play. The party invite. Delivered with catering menus. It's all set. The day after your defense. Whole town's comin'. I hedged. And her warmth vanished. Don't burn bridges.
darling.
At your age, you need folks in your corner. Threat clear as a cloudless sky, show or suffer. They didn't know I duplicated everything. Sent copies to my journalist buddy,
Mia.
with publish if I vanish instructions. They thought me cornered. They were about to learn otherwise. The ranch glowed under string lights strung across the courtyard, like stars fallen to earth. Mom had pulled out all stops, mesquite-smoked barbecue from the best pitmaster in Tucson, a bluegrass band twanging away, craft beers flowing like the Colorado River. Guests milled local bigwigs, ranchers, politicians, each a thread in the haze web. I showed in the sundress Mom sent, playing dutiful daughter one last time. Sarah met me at the gate, pecking my cheek. Don't make a scene tonight, she murmured. Wouldn't dream of it. I shot back, noting her glances toward our folks. The first hour was a waltz of handshakes and congrats. I nodded through praise for my degree, sidestepped job queries, all while watching my family circle like vultures. Mia slipped in late, her notebook tucked away, phone recording discreetly. She nodded from afar, ready. Her photographer pal,
Luis.
blended in, snapping candids. Emily, over here, Mom called. Your dad wants a toast. Crowd gathered. Glasses raised. Dad, at the mic. Grin wide as the horizon. To my girl Emily and her smarts. We've butted heads on business. But she's a haze through and through, stubborn as a mule. The dig on butted heads landed heavy. Folks shifted. But family's about loyalty, he went on, eyes locking mine. Stickin' together. Gwade in the young uns right. Mom appeared with a special beer bottle. From your dad's private stash, she whispered. Looked normal. But I noticed. Her careful grip, Sarah's watchful eye, Dad's ranch hand by the exit. Trap obvious as a rattlesnake's warning. How kind, I said, taking it. Mia tripped nearby, phone catching the handoff. Whoops. Sorry, she yelped, bumping Mom. Watch it, Mom snapped, but it was recorded. I held the bottle, feeling eyes on me. Dad edged closer, Sarah flanking. Before we drink, I announced, voice carrying over the music. Thanks to Sarah especially. She's been dropping by. Check in on me like a big sis should. Turned to her sweetly. This toast's yours too. You're the future boss lady. Her pride overrode smarts. Sure. Why not? Let's split it, I said, pouring half into her empty cup before anyone blinked. Sisters share. Right? Time froze. Mom blanched. Dad lunged subtly. Sarah,
Clueless.
raised her cup. To family bonds.
To honesty, I countered.
We sipped. I barely wet my lips. Sarah gulped half. Flush hit her quick. Then pallor. She clutched her throat. Feelin' woozy. You look peaked, I said loud. Sit down. Dad. Just needs air. No. I cut in. Call 911. Overkill, Mom protested. Is it? Signs of tampering. Quick hit. We wouldn't risk the air. Would we? Chaos erupted. Phone's out. Recording. Luis clicked away. Mia texted her editor. Sarah slumped in a chair. Breath fast but steady. Whatever was in there wasn't lethal, just to fog the mind. Maybe land a psych hold.
But not on me.
This is nonsense, Dad thundered. Too much brew. Then test it, I said, holding both vessels. Silence thundered louder than any storm. Paramedics whisked Sarah away as I slipped to the barn for air, or so I claimed. Voices leaked from the tack room. My parents.
Raw panic.
Catastrophe, Mom hissed. She wasn't meant to drink it. Your public stun idea, Dad shot back. I pressed close. Phone rolling. Dose was perfect, 72 hours of fog. Memory lapses. Enough for a hold and power of attorney during the trust window. Heart sank. They'd planned to sideline me. Seize the cash. She's a loose cannon with that research, Mom said. Could tank the company. We'll spin it, bad reaction to meds. Get her committed. Transfer the trust. And, if she fights, we've got docs on peril. Make her seem unstable. Recording gold. I backed away. Mind racing. Back at the party. Whispers buzzed like cicadas. Dad tried corralling guests. Minor hiccup. But damage done. Sirens faded. Carrying Sarah to safety and the end of our family's reign. Hospital lights buzzed harsh as I paced the ER waiting room. Sarah was stable. Docs confirmed a sedative compound. Non-fatal but disorienting. Designed for temporary incapacity, one said. Cops arrived. Detective Ramirez. Badge gleaming. Walk me through it. I did. Handing my recording. His eyes widened. This is attempted assault at minimum. We'll test the samples. Mia joined. Laptop open. Stories blowing up online. Local news has footage from the party. Dad and Mom arrived. Faces thunderclouds. False alarm, Dad blustered. She's fine. Not so fast, Ramirez said. We're investigating. They lawyered up quick. But wheels turned. By morning, warrants issued for Hayes Agri-Tech. EPA agents swarmed the ranch, digging up buried waste drums. Toxins matched my samples, illegal dumping, falsified permits. Communities hit hard. Navajo reservations nearby reported spikes in illnesses. Wells poisoned for years. I met Caldwell at his office. Trust papers in hand. It's yours now, $10 million. Free and clear. But freedom tasted bitter. Family dinners flashed. Dad teaching me poker. Not for fun, but to spot bluffs in boardrooms. I'd learned well. Too well. Sarah called from her room.
Ain't.
What happened? Voice shaky. They spiked my drink. Meant for me. Silence. I suspected something. But not this. We talked hours. Walls crumbling. She'd seen red flags, bribed officials, hidden reports, but stayed silent for the throne. I was scared, she admitted, of losing it all. As feds built the case, I cooperated fully. Emails surfaced. Dad authorizing dumps to cut costs. Mom signing off on hush payments to sick families. Legal clarity hit. Under Clean Water Act. This was felony territory, fines, prison. But human side nod. These were my parents, flawed as cracked earth. Ending shifted in my mind, not total ruin, but accountability with a chance for amends. The federal courthouse in Phoenix baked under the midday sun. Media vans parked like a wagon train. The Hayes scandal had gone national. Agri-tech giant poison's own kin in inheritance grab. I sat in witness prep, thumbing my notes. 3 weeks post-party. Probes uncovered horrors, secret test plots where undocumented workers trialed unapproved pesticides.
Some hospitalized.
One fatal accident logged as heatstroke. Agent Torres entered. Lab confirms. Compound from your dad's private stock. Fingerprints. Logs airtight.
Mia overd. Sara testified.
Spilled everything. Board meets on cover-ups. Threats to whistleblowers. Sarah? In protective custody after anonymous threats from old associates. She had backups, Mia said. Years of audio. Your folks joking about collateral damage in those towns. Phone buzzed Caldwell. Trust released. $10 million. Blood money now. Bailiff called. MS. Hayes. Courtroom packed. Reporters. Affected families from reservations. Ex-employees. Parents in jumpsuits. Dignity stripped. Mom avoided my gaze. Dad glared like a cornered coyote. Name for record. Prosecutor began. Emily Hayes. Hours unfolded. My data on contaminated aquifers. Party night details. Played the recording. Their voices damning. They saw me as a threat. I testified. Not for wrongdoing, but for refusing to ignore theirs. Defense grilled. Jealous of Sarah? Resentful?
I stood to inherit quietly, I countered.
Expos in them cost my family. That's not envy. That's conscience. Redirect crushed. Prosecutor showed worker logs, tests on vulnerable folks. Risks hidden. How's it feel? He asked. Like strangers raised me. Real parents wouldn't trade lives for profit. Reservation families testified next. Elders on poisoned sacred waters. Mothers on kids' cancers. Photos hit hard. Hospital beds. Funerals. Jurors teared up. Mom broke. Weeping. Dad stonewalled. Sarah's tape sealed it. Dad on acceptable losses. Mom on price gouging seeds before regs hit. Prosecutor closed. This ain't business, it's harm. Slow killin' for greed. Jury out briefly. Guilty, all counts. Conspiracy. Fraud. Environmental felonies. Added. Manslaughter for the worker. As verdict read, Dad's eyes met mine, not hate, but resignation. Like seeing his lessons turn back. Mom whispered, Emily, I turned away, heart heavy, but resolved.
Outside.
Mike's thrust. How's it feel? Not victory, I said. Justice for those hurt. Real wins healin' the land. Take over agritech.
No, liquidate.
Fund cleanups. Mia stood by. Her piece viral. Pulitzer buzz, she said later. But I'd swap for one saved life. Sarah waited post-verdict. Detail in tow. Goodbye time. Doesn't have to. It does. Seeing you reminds me what I enabled.
Paused.
You were brave. I was complicit. We both survived a twisted game. Her ride pulled up. Grandma left me a trust too, same setup. But clause, access only if I testified against M. Stunned. She knew.
Bet on you.
Smart lady.
Door shit.
She vanished into the desert haze. Sentencing loomed. But I pushed for mercy, supervised release if they cooperated on cleanups. Humane twist, not destruction. But redemption. Dad got 20 years. Mom 15, eligible for parole with community service. Company assets seized. Proceeds to victims. I funneled my inheritance into trusts for affected families, medical bills, water filters, scholarships. Light lesson emerged, families about lifting each other. Not burying truths. Greed poisons more than land, it erodes souls. But fasten, it can heal. Back at my apartment, boxes for my move to a small eco-firm in Flagstaff. Grandma's letter arrived via email, her script steady. Dear Emily, if this finds you, you've stood tall where I faltered. Saw Jack's hunger early. Warned Laura. But power deafens.
Trusts were my quiet rebellion.
Use Hayes, or my maiden. Caldwell, cleaner slate. Live open. Girl. In sunlight. I gazed at Tucson lights. City where empire rose and fell. Tomorrow. Fresh start. Not as Hayes. But Emily Caldwell, pawn turned guardian. Weeks blurred into restoration. I consulted on cleanups. Wells purified. Soils remediated. Reservation elders invited me to ceremonies. Thanks not for downfall, but renewal. Sarah surfaced via encrypted email, started over in Montana. Helping small farms go green. Thanks for showing the way. Parents wrote from prison, dad's first. Taught you strategy. Never thought you'd outplay me for good. Mom's tear-stained. Miss the girl who asked questions. Maybe time to answer mine. Healing crept in like monsoon rains. Slow but transformative. The ranch, now under federal auction, stood empty, adobe echoing ghosts of barbecues and board meetings. I visited one last time. Wind whispering through mesquites. Found Dad's old poker set in the study. Cards worn from lessons on bluffs and folds. Always know when to hold 'em, he'd say. I did, held on to truth. Legal wrap-up dragged, appeals filed. But evidence, mountain high. Judge mandated restitution, parents' personal assets to victim funds. Clear law. Under RICO for racketeering.
Plus c'est pas violation.
But I testified for leniency. They're guilty, but capable of change. Let M contribute to fixes. Parole boards noted it. Dad started prison eco-programs, teaching inmates sustainable farming. Mom volunteered in health clinics, facing stories like Riverside's, our version, the border towns. Mia and I co-authored a book, Desert Deceit, Profits to Charities. It humanized the fall, not monsters, but folks chasing success till it blinded them. Lesson light, ambition without heart turns toxic, family thrives on honesty, not control. Sarah's path inspired, her green initiatives in Montana bloomed, anonymous but impactful. We chatted sporadically,
but I'm ending in being.
My new life in Flagstaff hummed, consulting for tribes on land rights, testifying in similar cases. The $10 mill, seeded community gardens, water projects. One day, a Navajo elder gripped my hand. You broke the chain. Now we rebuild. Felt like absolution. Parents' first parole hearing, I attended remotely.
Dad.
Grayer spoke. I built an empire on sand. Hurt my own blood. Ready to atone. Mom saw profit over people. Emily showed me different. Granted supervised release, community service in cleanups. We met at a neutral diner outside Phoenix, first since trial. Tension thick as dust. Didn't expect you, Dad said, voice gravelly. Oh, you that, I replied. Talk flowed halting, regrets. Memories untainted. Proud of your work, Mom admitted. Wish we'd listened. No full forgiveness. Wounds deep, but a start. Sarah joined via video. We're scattered. But maybe that's freedom. Light lesson crystallized. Revenge scorches. Understanding nurtures growth. We parted with tentative hugs. Paths converging occasionally for holidays guarded, but genuine. Years on, Hayes Agritech's remnants were formed as co-ops. Worker-owned, eco-focused. I led one board, ensuring ethics first. The desert bloomed anew. Lesson etched, family's not blood alone. It's choices that bind or break. The scandal faded from headlines, but its ripples endured. I married a fellow environmentalist. Started a family in a modest cabin near the Grand Canyon. Our kids learn poker too, not for bluffs, but fairness. Play honest, I'd say. Visits from grandparents, supervised at first, became cherished. Dad shared ranch tales. Minus the dark, Mom baked pies. Sharing stories of her youth. One evening, under starlit skies, Dad confessed. Thought control was love. You taught me it's letting go. Mom nodded. We poisoned more than land, our bonds. Grateful for second chances. Sarah visited annually. Her Montana farm thriving. We all needed that wake-up, she'd say. The humane end. Not ruin, but renewal. Lesson. Even in betrayal's dust, seeds of redemption can sprout if watered with truth. As the sun set over the red rocks, I reflected on the journey, from pawn in a corrupt game to architect of change. The Western expanse taught resilience, family drama, that humanity lies in facing flaws. My parents, reformed through consequence, volunteered tirelessly, Dad advising on sustainable aging, Mom advocating for health equity. Their empire's fall sparked industry reforms, stricter EPA oversight, corporate accountability laws. Sarah and I rebuilt sisterhood, trips to national parks, sharing dreams unshadowed by legacy. We survived the storm, she'd say. The light lesson echoed. Greed blinds, but empathy illuminates paths to healing. In the end, blood didn't define us, choices did. And in choosing truth, we found freedom under vast, forgiving skies.